Hi everyone, thanks for joining. My name is Gary Klahr. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at EquiLend and the Digital Transformation Lead. And today I want to talk about one source, the single source of truth of securities lending, and the use case to have it being built in a digital environment. First, thanks to IEU for hosting me. I really do appreciate our partnership. Thank you very much. Okay, so first to start with securities finance and securities lending in specific. The way to think of it is it's an opportunity for those that are long securities to be able to lend them out and earn incremental income. Borrowers need those securities in order to make deliverables. They're typically as a result of a short sale, but not necessarily. And there's a very robust multi-trillion-dollar market that supports that today. It is very, very different than what most people are accustomed to when it comes to like the NASDAQ, where you buy a security. It's actually almost the tail end of it. You buy a security, the security settles, you walk away, and you honestly don't care who sold it to you. It's irrelevant. You don't need to know who the counterparty is. In securities lending, that's actually the day the contract starts. And that contract can be open for days, months, years. It's almost like a marriage. And every day, someone needs to go in and open that contract and perform certain life cycle events. Changes in price, changes in rate, changes in collateral, and they're recorded today in the current environment in separate ledgers. So if one entity is lending to another, they each have their own ledger, and you can see where this is going with that many trades on in the securities lending environment. The odds of those trades being marked and all those life cycle events being marked to market every day, or rates changing every day, and most of these can be done in a very manual way, the odds of them being in line with each other and reconciled at all times is very, very slim. About a year and a half ago, a number of EquiLend clients approached and said, hey, what is the roadmap? What's the digital roadmap for EquiLend? And thank you. The digital roadmap for EquiLend, we want something digital. And I was asked to kind of speak to those clients. There were about 10 of them in total, and figure out exactly when they're asking for a digital roadmap, what is it that they're trying to achieve? What are the pain points in the industry that they're trying to solve for? EquiLend wasn't interested in building a product to say that we're digital, but wanted a product that would solve pain points in the industry, and if the digital solution was the right solution, then that's the way we would proceed. We formed a digital transformation working group and asked each of the members to put forward their top ideas for relief to a pain point in the industry, and then we went to see whether or not what the right technology was, and we probably had more than a half a dozen, some very good ideas for the future, but the one that resonated with all was we need to eliminate reconciliation. So going back to the paradigm I described before, two different ledgers, you have lots of breaks that occur daily because of so many manual interactions, or even if they're automated, the odds of each side getting to the same place every day can be slim. Reconciliation elimination was the way to go. And if you think about what brokers and agents are being asked to do every day, volumes are only increasing. Settlement cycles moving to T1 in the US and soon to follow in Canada, and soon to follow, I think, in other markets as well. So volume is increasing. Settlement cycles are coming in. Budgets are only becoming more and more constrained over time. So it clearly made sense to build for the future a DLT that would eliminate reconciliation. Reconciliations are very labor intensive. You need to have large staffs to cover them. You need to have technology to cover them. You have to pay third-party vendors to, for compare processes and technology. Having a DLT that were in line all the time would certainly eliminate a lot of that pain. As it says here, while bespoke software solutions are helpful, they don't eliminate the root cause, which is you have a break that you're fixing, just don't allow the break to occur. So what is OneSource? OneSource is the way you would describe your environment if you were building it from scratch today. You just simply wouldn't allow two sides to arbitrarily pick their numbers and then hope they are reconciled and hire teams to fix it after trade date. You would actually have them share information, right? So it is a securities lending solution that uses a distributed technology platform designed to eliminate reconciliation, and it does that through the use of smart contracts, right? Smart contracts, the easiest way to think about it is, it's a sharing of the data within the contract. So rather than having each side have their own technology or their own contract data, they're now sharing that information, and the smart contract is very, very good at applying the rules as to who and which side are able to make changes to those on the fly. So economic changes need to be agreed in advance by both sides. Changes that are much more administrative can be done by the administrator of the platform itself or by either side if the other side allows them to do that. So in securities lending, obviously, like I said, economic features would be both sides, but a recall, which is really initiated by the lender, or a return that's initiated by the borrower, both of those really are one-way flow with an acknowledgement to the other side as opposed to both sides matching up front. The administrator itself can provide reference change material, so pricing or security information, and that's kind of the overarching theme as to how we plan to build OneSource. OneSource is designed to be the single source of truth. So there's only one ledger going forward. Both sides share that data. Some of the features, again, it's a re-engineering of the workflows so that both sides are in agreement and alignment at all times. A good example of this would be if trader 1 is lending to trader 2 and they want to change the rate, and they both heard different rates and they put it in there, it is pre-agreed the system would need to see both sides put it in, or one side would have to confirm the other side's input before it actually were in effect. Whereas today, each side puts it in, and if they heard something different or fat-fingered a trade, they would have different information. It is a closed-loop ecosystem. It doesn't allow for one side to just open their side and put in a trade. It provides security and transparency to the counterparts of the trade. It avoids reconciliation issues because the data is always reconciled at all times. It minimizes delays in transaction settlement, and that's an important one for upcoming T1 rules. An example of minimizing delays, well, if the number one reasons why items don't sell is either the money is incorrect or the settlement instructions are incorrect. Both of those, if they're part of a smart contract, would be correct and reconciled at all times so that those trades would settle much, much more quickly. And for T1, that is a crucial component because the marketplace is losing 1 day to settle transactions. It facilitates interoperability, not just within the securities lending environment and other vendors in the securities lending space, but also interoperability through to other DLTs that may be on either similar platforms or others. So EquiLend is proud to be a part of using DAML and proud to be part of the Canton network. And with that, interoperability follows through to other digital asset clients that may be also part of the Canton network. It is a foundational architecture to future-proof the industry. And what we mean by that is, we didn't necessarily have to build this in DAML, right? We probably could have done a little bit more in current technology. But we see where the world is going to, and it would make very little sense to re-platform if we're not re-platforming for the future. And I'll touch more on that in the future. And lastly, I mentioned T1. This is a T1 necessity by allowing for all that information to be correct all at the same time. And so the benefits then are, or why do clients care? Well, their staff spends an inordinate amount of time reconciling trades. They, both operations staff and trading staff, they could be doing other things that are add value for the company. They have the ability to make better decisions. Traders need to be looking at accurate information, and there are times where if I put in a rate change or heard a rate change incorrectly, I'm now making economic decisions based on what I heard, and that may not be the best thing for the trading book. Again, it improves settlement rates by having that information accurate at all times. It eliminates accrual errors. So again, if you're calculating your P&L based on a price or a rate that is incorrect, that will no longer be an issue, and therefore your accruals going forward, your P&L will be accurate at all times. And lastly, it will reduce or eliminate third-party comparison fees. So EquiLend does have comparison products, and those would happily go by the wayside, but firms spend an inordinate amount of energy, technology footprint on both internal and external processes to help them keep their books in line at all times. Those expenses will go away with the advent of a DLT. One of the ways that folks will connect is through our REST API. And there's some connectivity that goes along with that. However, if they're within the EquiLend family and they can trade through those two top boxes, NGT and the ECS loan market, their trades by definition will actually fall through to the DLT if the counterpart's in DLT, and that's the way they want them to go. Similarly, our post-trade processes, returns and recalls, all of the EquiLend suite, the EquiLend suite will feed one source automatically, thereby reducing clients' needs to actually connect through the REST API. And for clients that use the EquiLend Spire books and records product, all of their activity could be included in the DLT. So before I get to actually future phases, let's talk about where we've been. Again, I mentioned about 18 months ago, we started with a number of clients asking for what the digital footprint should be, or could be. And after that, we decided to move forward with them. We had a proof of concept. As a part of the proof of concept, there were a number of firms that offered their services. Ultimately, EquiLend, along with the working group, decided on using digital assets in their DAML product, and our partnership with the folks at IEU came out of that. But as a part of that proof of concept, we vetted the technology to ensure that it was scalable, that it had ample security, that it reflected business operations, and it passed with flying colors through all that. Separately, on the proof of concept, we were looking for requirements that the digital working group were giving us for each of the life cycle events, and we're still on that journey. We've now covered most of those life cycle events, and we recently had a very successful pilot where 5 of those firms in a test environment were recorded transactions on the DLT. These are test trades, and it was contract initiation, but it was clearly the first step towards a DLT. We now have test trades in a test environment on the DLT. In terms of where we're going, our MVP is underway. We're focused on North American equities versus cash. Separate to that, once that's done, we'll start layering in other EMEA markets and non-cash and some corporate action activity. And our third phase will bring in the rest of the globe and bring in other settlement cycles, other corporate actions, so on and so forth. The exciting part of all this is, of course, selfishly, this really makes the securities lending business way more efficient than it is today, but it's where we're going to in the future, and the interoperability play that I mentioned before. So you can see some of these items down at the bottom. We're talking about T1. The ultimate goal is T0. In my opinion, that can't be done without a distributed ledger or instant settlement. Talking about a more efficient SFTR in the US, similar product to SFTR, 10C1. Again, you can see how all that information comes to one place and a regulator gets a node of that to eliminate the complex process that went into SFTR in Europe and some of the other regulation. There's interoperability to DLTs like a repo product, which exists in DAML. There's also a collateral product where you can see how one source clients will look for a connection to another DLT for collateral, and that information can be sent back and forth. You can see an environment where beneficial owner information, as soon as the beneficial owner trades, if that's on chain, it can be sent through to the agent and all the borrowers that borrow in the chain. So there's a lot more that we believe a DLT in securities lending, once it's up and running, can achieve outside the securities lending marketplace and in the greater finance marketplace as a whole. And that's my entire presentation. So thank you all. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.